Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
Let's turn our attention to this now. The future of South Africa's HIV/AIDS programs is in jeopardy as funding from the US government has been stopped for now. This follows a recent executive order from President Donald Trump of the United States to pause all foreign direct assistance. The affected programs include the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief and the National Institutes of Health, two major sources of funding for HIV/AIDS initiatives in South Africa. I've got to update that and say that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State in the United States, has now issued a waiver from that executive order for life-saving humanitarian assistance. But let's see if that goes far enough. Let's pose that question to Professor Linda-Gail Bekker, who is CEO of the Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation. Good morning to you, Prof, and thank you for your time. So let's start right there. This reprieve that seems to have come through from Marco Rubio, this waiver for life-saving humanitarian assistance. As far as we understand it, will it assist in some way in terms of the impact of the executive order?
So I think there is still a little bit of confusion about that this morning. So I think it's the interpretation of life-saving therapy, and the word HIV does not actually occur within the memo that came from Mr. Rubio. But hopefully that is the case. We all received stop work orders between the dates 24th and 27th of January. And I guess one has to wait and see if those stop work orders are actually reversed to see and the extent. Is it only going to be purchasing antiretrovirals that'll be allowed, or will we be able to do all the technical work that PEPFAR was doing, or that the PEPFAR dollars was allowing us to do in this country and in our region? And that's really, I think, still the question to be answered, hopefully in the next day or two. But it's been a very anxious time with a lot of confusion about all of these stop work orders.
Yeah, and in fact, anecdotal conversations that some of us have had indicate that the impact was felt almost immediately. Why is that? What makes PEPFAR so critical such that as soon as these stop work orders were issued, there was not only that anxiety, but you started seeing the impact almost immediately?
It literally was because the stop work order had the wording of cease immediately. So it wasn't, you might have imagined that if a huge program came to an end, there would be, this must stop in 1 month or in 3 months or in 6 months. But this was stop work immediately. So people were told not to come into work. And clinics had, mobile clinics that go out into the community to give out, for example, pre-exposure prophylaxis had to have a notice on the door saying, this clinic will be closed from now on. Please come and fetch any medication you need by 4:00 this evening. So, it really was an extraordinary situation of lights on one day and lights off the next day.
Sure. So for someone who doesn't understand, why does PEPFAR matter this much, such that any threat of its removal, temporary or long-term, evokes this kind of panic and anxiety? Please outline for us, why does this matter?
Well, one has to be a little bit historic in this case. So in 2003, when we were reeling because people were dying in large numbers due to inaccessibility to life-saving antiretroviral therapy, the then George Bush administration said, what can be done about this? And to his credit, he created the President's Emergency Fund for AIDS Relief. And this meant that for the first time, life-saving antiretroviral, anti-HIV treatment could be brought to the Southern Hemisphere, particularly to our region, where mortality due to AIDS was enormous, could really turn those rates around and change the face of HIV. Over time, PEPFAR has somewhat changed because, subsequently many, many millions of lives have been saved, but also the epidemic has matured, and particularly in our country, has taken on more of a technical kind of face, in that it provides a lot of the money that allows us to, for example, hire community-based workers who go out into the community to find people who've stopped their antiretroviral therapy. It helps us to be able to provide prevention for HIV, to stop people getting infected and so on. In some countries in our region, however, it continues to actually buy the drugs. So because countries don't have, huge health budgets, they actually have been reliant still 100% on PEPFAR. So when you remove that, that's a huge component of the AIDS response, both for treatment, prevention, and care. So it really matters.
Yeah, anxious times. All right, thank you for sharing those insights with us. That's Professor Linda-Gail Bekker, who is CEO of the Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation.